Next up, at UFC 292, we have Gregory Rodrigues taking on, I did a Spanish, he's not Spanish, he's Brazilian. Gregory Rodrigues taking on Denis Tiuliulin. Gregory Rodrigues is 13-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off that knockout loss to Diego Ferreira. He's taking on Denis Tiuliulin. Denis Tiuliulin, 11-7 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that submission loss to Jun Young Park. And this fight is much closer than I think these odds are. I had a little bit of a debate with web guy Josh this morning in between phone calls with GoDaddy about this fight because I do think Gregory Rodrigues wins, right? He's a very well-rounded guy. He's got good, clean striking. He's got power. He's got a BJJ black belt. But he doesn't really use his takedowns that often. At least in my mind, Gregory Rodrigues is not wrestling as often as he should be. There's fights where he clearly should be wrestling, and he doesn't. He will first stand in front of you and slug it out and then go to the wrestling. And unfortunately for him in his last fight, he didn't get the opportunity to do and then. He didn't get past the slug out phase. He did look good, actually. He was landing the cleaner shots till ultimately, boom, done. Unconscious on the cage. And that was, 3 months ago? That wasn't even that long ago. He's taking on Denis Tiuliulin. This guy's a really fun come-forward striker. I think Denis is the better striker out of the two of them. Actually, I think he literally is the better striker out of the two of them. But he's not the better MMA fighter, right? He has no problem getting into a slugfest. He loves to make fights dirty, ugly, really fast-paced. And he loves to break you or catch you in those exchanges. He's got very legit power. But he does have grappling holds. He's got some decent takedown defense, but once he's on the ground, he's got nothing to offer. Complete fish out of the water. So Gregory Rodrigues should win this fight. He also has some power in his hands. But then on top of that, he's got a BJJ black belt. He's got some takedowns. Gregory Rodrigues, 100%. I get why he's the favorite. He should win this fight. But if he's going to go out there and fight this fight the same way he fought his last fight with Diego Ferreira, he could absolutely get slept the exact same way. Denis Tiuliulin has that power. So Gregory Rodrigues is the pick. I have no money on Gregory Rodrigues whatsoever. Maybe I'll hit a prop if the odds are crazy. I'll have to look a little closer. But the reality is this guy could get slept just like he was because he's too willing to slug it out. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Gregory is, how do I say this?
Say it in Portuguese.
Knocked the fuck out is what's going to happen with Gregory in this fight. Because as you mentioned, the guy's a very high-level grappler, but does not wrestle, does not grapple unless it happens organically. If somebody shoots on him, he will work to get the back. Then he starts wrestling and grappling. Even when he gets hurt, it's not like he even defaults to wrestling. When he gets hurt, and we've seen him getting flatlined in his last fight. That's not the first time that's happened. That's not the first time. We've seen him on skates. We've seen him knocked out before. So it's not even like oh, wow, maybe that won't happen again. Maybe that was a fluke. It's happened before, and now it seems to be happening a little bit more often. And when he gets hurt, he doesn't default to wrestling. He doesn't try to stay safe. He bites down, and he gets even more wild. He is going to get in the pocket with this dude, Denis. And by the way, let me just preference this. I should have probably preferenced this a little bit ahead of time, but Denis has a special place in my heart. My lock of the week, when it won 10 in a row, Denis Tiuliulin was number 10 against Jamie Pickett. It's hard to believe that Jamie Pickett was a favorite in a fight, but he was a favorite against Denis Tiuliulin. We were at Bill Burr, had no idea what the fight, but I was so confident in Denis Tiuliulin. I came out, we unlocked our phones, and I was like, Angelo, baby.
Your phone was in the
I said 10 in a row. We fucking did it, Angelo. And that really springboarded us to all the success. We can really attribute every single second of success on this channel to Denis Tiuliulin. So I am a little bit biased, but I think that this turns into just an absolute brawl, a 50-50 fight in the pocket, and I know that Denis can take shots a little bit better at this point than Gregory. And his losses, by the way, Denis Tiuliulin's losses, the last one was to the Iron Turtle. We now realize the Iron Turtle is like kind of a prospect. I mean, he is kind of steamrolling through the division, and he was fully mounted for like 4 straight minutes and did not give up at all. This guy is tough as shit. The other 2 losses before that were basically to undefeated Russians, one of them being Ikram. So it's not like he's like losing these fights and just kind of struggling. He's fighting really good people, and I think he gets in there, turns this into a brawl, and finds the chin of Gregory. I will say this. Something about this fight feels like it could be one of those, I can't believe it went to a decision. Because we've seen Gregory also be very, very durable, right? And I could see both these guys kind of hurting each other and going all for it in the first round, and then it turns into just this sloppy slugfest where they don't really have the power anymore. They can't finish each other. So, I think fight does not go the distance, like minus 500 or something. People might see that and think it's easy money.
It is minus 500.
Yeah, people might see that and think like, oh, that'll be free money, whatever. Something weird might happen in this fight, but I'm going Dennis here with the upset. I think these boys get after it, and I can't trust Gregory's chin in a slugfest.
Yeah, I agree. I still think he wins. He's the better, more well-rounded fighter in an MMA fight. Like I will pretty much always pick that person unless the non-well-rounded one is a very dominant wrestler, because then they can just whatever. That's what they'll do. But in this case, Denis Tiuliulin's a striker. If he's taken down, he's got nothing to offer. Can we admit the gap on the ground is like ridiculously wide?
I mean, he's been fighting some really high-level grapplers, really high-level wrestlers as well.
I understand, but Gregory Rodrigues is also a high-level grappler.
You definitely could tell, and they were actually, I can't remember who was on the call, but during that turtle fight, they were like, one of the first things you learn is how to get out of mount. They were like, one of the first things you learn is you get in a mount position, you learn how to get out of the mount position, because it was like he was just flailing around. They were like, I think it had to have been Dominic Cruz or somebody. They were like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Well, and that is the problem. That's why Gregory Rodrigues is the favorite that he is. But, Jacob and I have the same, because Jacob's far more confident than I am. I think Gregory wins. But
let me just say this too.
I haven't spent any money on him.
I don't have a bet on. Actually, I do have a little bit of bet on Dennis, but I'm not like, load up on a money line for sure. I understand how good Gregory is. He should win this fight. I just think that there is the odds. I do have some action on Dennis.
He will always spend the first couple of minutes being like, let's see what I can do with my feet.
He said he loves striking. He came into these camps as like the grappler. He got beat up. He learned how to strike, and he loves striking. You can see the way he fights. He loves it.
Yeah. $9,500 in DraftKings. The problem is, if he wins, not a problem, it'll be worth that. If he wins, he'll win by finish. I mean, I agree with the minus 500 does not go the distance odds. I don't think this should go the distance, because Gregory's going to get flatlined, or Dennis will get TKO'd on the ground or submitted. That's how I think it goes. So $9,500 in DraftKings. That's a lot to spend. I'll look a little closer. We'll see what happens in that DraftKings video. And if you want full DraftKings insight breakdown of the fighter salaries and who you should pick and the tools and the cheat sheet and all that, weonpicks.com. Click become a member. It's $10 a month. And then go to fantasy, and then you'll see DraftKings plays. And it'll all be right there for you. $6,700 for Tiuliulin. He definitely needs to be in one or two of your tournament lineups for sure, because if he wins, he's going to crush. Listen, it's not tournament. It's not TURN-ament. It's not tournament.
It's tournament.
And why? What's the example I always use?
Oh, when you go on a, do you go on a tour? Do you go on a tour?
When you go on a tour, you get a tour guide, not a tour guide. Tournament.
I just get a girl that I'm about to bang
guide.
later.
I've never seen an attractive tour guide.
You don't go on the right tours.
What tours you going
on?
I took her on a tour of the Star, and she was about 300
I was about to say something. I'm going to text it to you just so you can laugh about it. Hold on. This will be quick.
That's the theme. I have notifications turned off, so let's see it.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Well, that was gross, and I'm very glad you didn't say it. Gross, like from a human perspective. Yeah, let's move on.